Okay, so let's see. So I have my coffee, right? Hmm. I have my lantern all lit up. If you don't know the story of the lantern, go check out my last video, um, the O files about Bed Bath Beyond. All right, I think I'm ready, so let's go. Ahoy, ahoy, everyone! Welcome to another episode of the O Show. I am O, and I'm here for your amusement. All right, so as you can see, the subject of today is the television show Friends. And let me tell you, I didn't watch Friends growing up. Um, I was a TV freak. If you didn't see me out in the streets, I was at home in front of the TV. And Friends came out in 1994, and I think this is like right after we had gotten cable. So I was watching everything else and like recording everything else. Back then we had a VCR, you could only record like one thing at a time. But I never did jump on the Friends bandwagon. Back on April like 7th, I believe, I made a little Facebook post saying that I'm going to watch all 10 seasons of Friends. And ladies and gentlemen, I have completed all 10 seasons of Friends. And we are going to talk because I have a lot to say. All right, let's talk about the show because I feel like I missed that whole Friends train. Like the show was from 94 to 2004, and I do remember classmates through elementary school and high school like mentioning Friends. And I'm always like, no, I didn't watch it. I was watching The Simpsons, or I don't know what day it came on. All right, so let's talk about the characters. All right, so let's start with Jennifer Aniston, who plays Rachel Green. Um, I will say I do now see what the hype was about the Rachel haircut that she had because I was looking at her hair season one, and I was like, damn, that's some nice hair. Okay, it's so nice and beautiful, and I do remember when that whole thing just blew up and everyone wanted the Rachel, and yeah, it was really good. It was really good. Yeah. Now, with what I just did, I hate the fact that I didn't watch the show during its original run because her saying like, yeah, what, yeah, what, no, yeah, what, no, like that really did drive me crazy. And what drove me more crazy is because I had in my head the SNL skit where I think it was Vanessa Bayer played Aniston as Rachel, and then Aniston came on, and I mean it was just a dead on impersonation. And because of that evil sketch, it was just in my head. So every time Rachel talked, it's like, yep, there she goes. Yep, there she goes. It's super annoying. Courtney Cox played Monica Geller. I feel like I can relate to Monica. Um, I, not so she has like OCD, but I don't have that big of an OCD. Like I clean, but then there are days or like a week goes by where I'm just mad at Dirt. And I'm like, fuck you, Dirt. I will get you next week. So I probably won't do- But like everything in my place has like a place. Like I hate when I see something just kind of out of place or someone puts something out of place and it just drives me crazy. Um, but yeah, other than that, I think that's really. And I love to cook. Um, I love she was a chef and making things and um, like last Mother's Day, like I ended up being the. I mean, it's my choice, but I made like an appetizer buffet. But so I like to cook and bake. So I thought that's cute. Like I could relate to Monica on those things. Lisa Kudrow as Phoebe Buffet. Now, I love me some Phoebe. Like, every time she was on screen doing whatever, saying whatever, I was cracking up. Um, and I would get into that storyline of hers that was just driving me crazy. But other than that, like, Phoebe was a really, really fun character. Um, my only thing is, I hate the fact that I still do love the movie Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. And I feel like I've seen Lisa Kudrow in other movies, and I get it. Like, she has that personality, and sometimes she does like the same sounds and speech and what have you. But when I was watching Friends, I just kept seeing Michelle from Michelle and Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. So she's like talking and acting the same way. So I was like, am I watching Michelle or am I watching Phoebe? That kind of just drove me crazy. Like, I get it. Like, that's you. But yeah, I was really distracted. Maybe, again, if it was the other way around, and I watched the show first and I watched the movie, I probably would have been like, oh, she's playing Phoebe. But like, it's Lisa Kudrow, so it is what it is. I also feel like Phoebe Buffay is my spirit animal because she just makes up songs on the spot. And I don't play a musical instrument, but I will make up a song right on the spot. And there are some people in my life that do not appreciate that. But apparently, I must have just been, I should have just gone to like a coffee shop and just sang my songs in front of people who care. You know who you are. Matt LeBlanc as Joey Tribbiani. You know, we all have that friend in our group. There's a Joey. He's just so silly and crazy. But yeah, Joey was a really fun character. Um, don't know how he paid his rent most of the time. Like, later on, when he got a TV show part, like, okay, I get it. But there's sometimes I'm like, is he even? What does he do all day? How much is the rent in this apartment that he's staying in? But other than that, he's a really fun character. I like some Joey. I know he's famous for the "How you doing?" and I was waiting for that, but that didn't come up until like, did I write it down? I think it was like season 4 or something. Like, it was a few seasons, and I was like, "Where is the line? Where's the line? Where's the line?" And he finally said the line, and I think after he said it, it must have just stuck because obviously then he used it a lot after that. But yeah, Joey was a fun character. Matthew Perry as Chandler Bing. Um, I love me some Chandler because he pretty much says everything I'm thinking. And I know there's a lot of times like I say things when I used to be I work from home now, but when I was in the office and I would talk to my coworkers and say things and they'd just be like, haha, you're so funny. But little do they know, like I was really kidding. I'm not trying to be funny. Like, you're ridiculous. So I just love the fact that Chandler just said whatever was on his mind and didn't care. So he said everything I wanted to say. So I think it's I love me some Chandler. Last but not least is David Schwimmer as Ross Geller, who is the brother of Monica Geller. Now, this character drove me insane. There's usually a character on a show they just don't care for, and I would gladly say I don't like Ross Geller. He got on my damn nerves. Now, this whole love story between him and Rachel just drove me up the wall. Like, this man is obsessed with this lady for 10 seasons. I don't know how many years actually really goes by in this show, but if him and Rachel make up and break up and make up and break up one more time, like, I swear to God, like, I get what the writers were trying to do, but that storyline, holy shit. And now, while I'm on this, I do have to say, like, we're all, I'm sure they figured out, like, where COVID came from, um, originally, officially. But if it had happened between 94 and 2004, I would say COVID started in these people's apartments. Because you have these 6 people You have Ross, who's in love with Rachel. Then she kind of likes him, but then she don't. And then you have Joey, who at one point loves Phoebe, but then he then starts lusting after Rachel, and then Rachel has a thing for Joey, and there's a period of that, but then she goes back to Ross. That's a nasty, nasty group of people. Okay, like I get like a group, a group of friends. Like there might be like one hookup, like oh yo, so and so now dating. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like it happened. Um, that happened in high school. We had a little group of folks after school or what have you, and next thing I know, two of them got married and had kids. um, hey y'all, hey. But and then you have Monica and Chandler. So eventually they fall in love and get married and have kids, but they didn't move around in this group. These are nasties. Ew. Okay, so let's just go back to all the craziness in this show. Because one bad thing about binging a show, um, and I'm always just nitpicking things, but there are so many errors I found in this show, and I feel like the writers totally like someone's job should have been to remember like dates and things that were said in previous episodes, so they don't fuck up as the show goes on. And like the biggest thing is the whole relationship with Rachel and Chandler. Because in the first episode, Monica introduces Rachel to the group. And Chandler, just like everyone else who never saw her before, is like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. But then they start doing these flashbacks episodes, which are really funny when they show like Monica in the fat suit and stuff. And and Ross, who I hate, how he used to look like in high school and college. But Rachel and Chandler met on multiple occasions when Chandler went to Monica and Ross's parents' house. And then there's a college party that Chandler and Rachel kissed and made out. So now all of a sudden they don't know each other. Mm-hmm. Then you also have Phoebe's storyline about her father. She's like, oh, I never met my father. He left when I was really before I was born. I think that's what she said, but something like that, right? However, when she finally meets him years later, he says like, "Oh, I used to sing you songs when you were little, like when you were a little girl, and before he left," which means he was around during her childhood. But she claims he left before she was even born, or when she was super young. That's right. I think it was when she was born. But anyway, her story don't make no sense. There's a part of the show where I think it happened in the first season where there's a man or someone with a telescope across the street, and he's looking over into the girl's apartment. And then Joey comments like, "Oh, I can't walk around naked or anything in his apartment." But when you go to the boy's apartment, there's a little window that seems to be on the opposite side of the building. Because if you're going from this apartment to that apartment, what window is this guy looking at you at? And can't be his bedroom window because they already showed that there's a black man living right across the street, or not the street. It's not even a street. It's this little like gangway. Um, and I think that was the guy's bathroom. So how are you uncomfortable with this guy with a telescope that can't see you? That didn't make any sense. In the first episode, like Phoebe, I feel like who used to do this? I think it was the Fresh Prince. If you ever watched like the first couple episodes, I think Will Smith was learning everyone's lines so he knew when he did his lines. So he would kind of mouth it. So when people are talking, he's mouthing their things to be like, okay, this is now when I come in. So I don't know if Lisa Kudrow was doing that. 'Cause there's times where people are talking and then you look at her lips, so that was kind of weird. And then there's a part where she like takes out her eyelashes or she plucks some eyelashes. Um, and then she's standing in the kitchen. And then in the very next scene, they pan over to this guy sitting on the sofa, and she's there, right? So she's in the kitchen. She's like, "Oh, I plucked like 4 eyebrows out," and then some guy in the living room starts talking. But if you look behind this guy, it's Phoebe sitting down with a cup of coffee. So how the hell did she just go from the kitchen to the living room sitting down? I'm sorry. Look, I got more. I got more. Ooh. And speaking of Phoebe, Matt LeBlanc is doing that shit too. I think he must have memorized people's lines too, because there's times where other people are talking and he's not, and the camera looks at him and he's. Sorry, I just remembered that. All right, so let's talk about Ross. Oh, Ross, I hate him so much. Um, let's talk about his monkey. Monkey, Ross's monkey. See, that's a hit song right there. So look, he has this monkey named Marcel. And there's an episode where he says Marcel is illegal. Like, it's illegal to have a monkey in the city, right? Okay, fine. We get it. But later on, a few episodes later, he comes home and he goes, "Oh, I just took Marcel to the vet." And the vet was saying that he's, getting older and horny, and I guess now he has to be around like other monkeys and blah blah blah. But like, if you have a highly illegal pet like a monkey, and you take it to the vet, like, does this vet just ignore the fact that you have an illegal animal and he's touching it and sends you home with it? It just says, "Oh, he's just getting older." That don't make any sense. Speaking of apartments, was I even talking about apartments? I don't know. There's a lot. So, fun fact: last year I actually watched all of Seinfeld because I never watched Seinfeld during this original run. I've seen a couple episodes that TV said, "If you never watched Seinfeld, you should probably watch like these top 5 episodes, like the Soup Nazi." I saw that. But for years, I've avoided seeing reruns on TV because I didn't know what was happening. It was already like in season 6 on TV or something. So I finished all of Seinfeld. But one thing that Seinfeld did, and this show did too, is that when the show they start off with a apartment number on the door, and then as the show keeps going on, like things like that change because then they get, I guess, what the final situation is going to be with the show. But this show did that. Like, it started off with the boys in apartment 4, and the girls were in apartment 5, and then all of a sudden it jumped to 19 and 20. So I guess it's because of the fact that, like, with the way their apartment is, like with their little balcony thing that they have outside the window, like it had to be higher. Okay, so I get it. But then, just to kind of fast forward, well, yeah, let's fast forward a little bit. All the way to the end when Ross and Rachel had the baby, and they're kind of going up and down the stairs with this stroller. And at one point, like, I think Rachel is the only one with the stroller. Like, is she carrying this stroller up all those flights of stairs? Like, there's no elevator because they never show an elevator. And there were so many like little things, like objects of clothing were disappearing, like necklaces. There's this one episode where Joey, well, let's see. Yeah, I'll tell this one first. So like Joey has a sweater on. It's a Thanksgiving episode. I think it's towards the end, and they break into the door, and he falls on all this food. And he has like all this food on his shirt, and then Monica and Chandler find out they're getting a baby, and everyone hugs. And then all of a sudden the food is just gone. They're not 100% gone, but there was a huge mess on his shirt, and then most of it is gone all of a sudden. And then there's an episode where Phoebe gets the hummus. You rock boys. So it's a huge spot like over here, and then in another scene, it's like this little small spot. Like, what happened there? And speaking of food, Ross, who I hate, says in an episode that he doesn't like ice cream because it's too cold. But then he's dating this chick, I don't know her name, And they're walking down the street eating an ice cream cone. So she has an ice cream cone. He has an ice cream cone. He's walking down the street. They're talking and they're walking slow and licking, and he seems to be fine. So what happened to not liking ice cream? Again, they could have hired me. I could have been like, write this down and keep track of everything you wrote, writer. I'm changing shit. What the? So, Ross has this ex-wife. He's like married and divorced like 3 times. Like, this man's a mess. I hate him so much. But he has his first wife, Carol, who gave birth to his son Ben. Um, he was always saying that she was the first one that he been with, like had sex with. But then later on in the show, he mentions that there was a cleaning lady in college, and I was like, wait, hold on, because he's been talking about this Carol for like episodes and episodes and episodes about how she was the first, and now there's a cleaning lady in college. Did you or did you not? One time, Chandler and Monica, when they were secretly dating, were in a bathtub having a sexy time, and people were like coming in and out. I think that's the one where Joey was like, I was going to see if he wanted some chicken. But then later on in the show, there's a whole episode, I think it's even called the one where Chandler doesn't like baths. Like, but you were just in a bath like a few seasons ago. Now he's all like, what, baths? Ew, that's gross. Like, why would I take a bath? You were in the bathtub seasons ago. And do you remember when Monica told Rachel that if she ever had like a boy, she would name him Daniel? But she didn't. I think she named her son Jack. Right? Is that boy named Jack? I think they said that kid's name one time and then that was it. Oh, and then didn't Monica and Chandler say if they ever have a boy, they would name him Joey? But they didn't. Pretty sure his name is Jack. I mean, I know people change their minds all the time, but that was twice. You can. A couple other things I noticed. Yeah, like I started writing a list down as I saw things. I had to keep rewinding and double checking and looking. So like when Paul Rudd joined the cast, actually it was an episode where he was introduced, and Joey sets him up on a blind date with Phoebe, and I think the girl was Mary Ellen. I think cause she was like, "Can you tell me my name?" And he was like, "No." So for some reason, I remember her name. I think it was like Mary Ellen. But there's a part where Mary Ellen is drinking her martini, and there's 3 olives, and she eats all the olives. And then in the very next scene, there are 2 olives left in her glass. You just ate them. Like, how many times did they shoot shit? I know, y'all. I'm almost done. There's this one scene where Joey grabs like cans and bottles out of Monica's refrigerator, and then there's 2 bottles like in carrying this, and there's 2 bottles here, but then the bottles turn into cans. I didn't get that. Also with Joey, I mean this is their fault. They put this in the show, but there's like this. It's not an etch a sketch thing, but there's a drawing board thing on their wall in the boys' apartment. And there was one time, like, because I keep looking at it like, okay, what's it going to say today? Like, obviously they want you to look at it. They keep changing stuff on it. But there was one episode where at one point, when I think it was Chandler, when he walked in, it said poop. And then in another scene, it suddenly said get out, but like no one changed it. So did they film that scene on different days? That's kind of weird. Like that was super distracting. Um, and keeping on with that apartment, what was the deal with the refrigerator door? One episode, people go into the refrigerator and pull it from the left side. And like, the freezer doors on the left, the refrigerator doors on the left. And then there's another episode where they would go to get something and they have to open it from the right side. So why does the door on the fridge keep flipping? You can't even take a door off a fridge and like, were there two different fridges? Or maybe the fridge broke, but it's a TV show. The fridge shouldn't be real anyway. So what's the point of changing that? Oh, also, speaking of Joey, there was an episode where Chandler, when they introduced Chandler's mom, who's played by the fabulous Kathleen Turner, I think it's the same episode. Like, it was nighttime when they were talking to her, and I think that's the episode where Joey was trying on women's panties. But anyway, they did a shot to Joey trying on the panties or whatever. I think he's in a washroom or something, but it's clearly daylight in his apartment. But when you go back to Chandler with his dad, it's nighttime, right? So at one point I was like, well, maybe it's the time zone because I think they went to Vegas to see Chandler's dad. But then that would make sense because if it's daytime in New York, it would still be daytime in California because New York is ahead. All right, I think my last note was when they showed Emma in there's an episode where Rachel goes to wake up Emma and then she won't stop crying. But if you pay attention when she's in the cradle, she's wearing like a pink hat, and then when they show her again, it's like a pink hat with a white border. It's a pink and white hat. So I'm only thinking maybe babies have to usually be twins to do TV shows in case one baby's acting up. But all they had to do was just switch the clothes on the baby. I don't know what's there, but whatever. I feel like now I need to go back to watch the reunion special. I watched the reunion special when it first came out, only because I wanted to be part of the moment. And then if someone around me was like, "Did you see the reunion special?" I could finally say, "Yes, I did. I did see it." And now I feel like I need to go back to watch it because I just now things will make more sense. And then if I hear like stories about things, they probably make more sense than they did before. So I think that's going to be even if it's I don't even know if it's available still. Is it streaming? I gotta find it. Now I'll be honest. Like I said, I made this post about me watching all 10 seasons back early April, and it was like a week or so later I finished season 2. So I actually meant to just write or not write, do a video about my experience watching season 1 and 2. Um, and then stuff kept happening, and then stuff went down in our family, and it didn't happen. So I just kept watching the show. But I had like a list of like all of the guest stars just from season 1 and 2. I mean, they had a lot, and I have the list here, but I don't want to go through it. It's really long. But it was awesome just seeing a lot of people back then. Like they had Giovanni Ribisi as Phoebe's brother. That whole storyline was funny. He was having a baby with his teacher, who, and I love doing this too because I get to go back and see people who I know now, and then see them in like older roles that they had. But Deborah Jo Rupp, who was the mom from the '70s show, plays his woman. And it was it was just kind of fun just seeing the people like that. But they had through the years, like they had a lot of people guest starring on this show. Now, I do have to say, and I will agree, because I do remember through the years, especially when the show ended, people were talking about like the lack of diversity on this show because you're in New York City and there's just white people galore everywhere. So it was kind of nice when I got to see like anyone of color like on the show. Like it started like the first season, I was like, oh my god, there's Jennifer Lewis, like in the kitchen with Monica. And then I saw Professor Ogilvy. What's his name? Dorian somebody? He was on the show here and there. I saw Aunt Viv play like Chandler's boss on one episode. Gabrielle Union was on a couple episodes. And then when the show was closing, of course, you had Aisha Tyler, who was being pursued by Ross. And she was kind of going with Ross, but then she went with Joey. And I guess she didn't want Joey. So she went back to Ross. See, the show's nasty, you guys. Like, there is just so much saliva and just germs moving around in this group. Um, but yeah, and I think that was it. Like, you might have seen a couple people in the background and stuff, but man, they really did just have like not that many. Yeah. Anyway, that's in the past. Like, I'm late. I'm late to the party, so I guess I can't be all up in arms about it because the show has ended. Everyone's moved on with their lives. So shut up, Orpheus. So anywho, that was my take on Friends. I really did overall. I really did enjoy it. It was a really fun show. It brought back a lot of memories that I've had in certain situations, and believe it or not, there are a couple of situations on this show that I was involved with in real life. Like anyway, I'm gonna say that for another day. But yeah, did you watch Friends? Did you love Friends? I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other bloopers and errors in that show that I did not mention, but those were like the biggest things that just kind of stuck out to me. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think if I missed anything, but I don't think I did. I think I mentioned all that I wanted to say. Do you disagree with me on anything, or you want to have a chat about Friends? Let me know in the comments below. I'm just gonna take my coffee here. I'm not gonna rate it with a shot glass because I thought I'd just drink the coffee for the nostalgia of it all. But while I do, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right, and I shall see you on the next episode of the O Show. But until then, TTFN. Oh, wait, I do have one more thing. Did you know in the opening credit, which that song, if I hear that song one more time, like it is not meant to be listened to 10 hours through the day. The Rembrandts. I'll remember you. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. Right? Did you know in the opening credits, that scene where the waterfall is at, the little fountain, I posted this on Facebook like a few years ago, but that little scene was in the movie Hocus Pocus, where the kids thought they killed the witches and they're frolicking through the grass. And if you look in the background, yeah, y'all, it's the same little area with the buildings from the opening of Friends. And I do have to say, I noticed this too. Um, Certain episodes, like as the seasons went by, they would change the scenes when they are showing the cast and doing the credits. So I like that. But I realized at first, whenever they were going to do like a flashback episode, like when you show like Monica in the big suit and everything, like they're in the fountain. Like they changed it up, and I thought that was cool. I had to stop. I had to stop and rewind. Like, wait, is that Monica? That was cute. They did a little cute things like that. So. Okay, I'm done. We can end the video.